something or someone conditioned and brainwashed and repeated something to make somebody or something seem wrong. Someone had a method of something or the way something was supposed to be done, and said, okay, well, this method works. Disregarded something or someone else and said, hey, you know what? How about this method? Have you ever considered this? There's people that did, there's people that didn't. In terms of what they were considering. A lot of people are going off of people forgetting many, many things. So they won't remember many things. So somebody can say, oh, who has all the time in the world? You know, who has all the time in the world to do this type of stuff? No one has all the time in the world to do all this type of stuff, to understand this type of stuff. That's one thing. Another thing is when somebody says, okay, yeah, you know, the person doesn't have all the time in the world, and plays some type of political game on somebody, makes them forget, doesn't allow them to know the information. I know that, particularly stemming from me, people understood that a long time ago. They considered that. However, I was reliant on something. And that was not a coincidence either. I don't know if anybody's experienced this. However, I know I have. Instead of allowing something or someone to be left alone so you can see what the person does, that I remember in the very beginning, there was people saying, hey, you know, allow the person to be however the person's supposed to be. They'll know what to do. I remember that. Yeah. They're correct. They're true. I thought the same thing. And somebody cussed at the moment of time, saying my language, saying if you're good or something. Oh yeah, I'm going to mention for sure. And I don't want to play with words. And people substitute with words, so also be aware of that too. I'm better than a cell tower. I'm more reliable. And somebody tried to predict programming. They tried to say anyways. I didn't say anyways. So speaking about all these things is very, very, very relevant. I try to see who's looking for excuses to be lies or who's looking for reasons to be true. A true person doesn't want people to. A true person minuses things, doesn't add on to things. However, it depends on what element we're talking about. Some people got that confused possibly or mixed with that. And some groups, they're not being honest. They're not being honest with something or someone, and something or someone is trying to say, oh yeah, you know, we're hiding things. They have that map that they're hiding things. They don't, you know, somebody's trying to hide something right now. at this moment of time. Trying to get the narrative going. Trying to see if I believe something. They're playing a belief game. They've duped many people, seems so. Somebody's duped somebody. Somebody's duped somebody, and somebody's trying to make me believe something. They're trying to make me believe that something or someone was not aware. Even though that may be true with a specific element or something, somebody's trying to exaggerate that. Being true, you understand these things. Some people go off of, oh, the person doesn't know, he's not aware. He's not aware of these things, he's new. She's new. Be aware of those things. All groups, the people that do have experience, that do know, can do their part to say, hey, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. Hey, don't do that type of stuff. Don't do those things. You know something is wrong. If something or someone knows something is wrong, and something they allow themselves to do, the allowing of certain things to be is an issue for me. And keeping my mouth with words. I hear OMG. So the dysfunction is the issue. There's a variety of dysfunctions. A variety of dysfunctions. That are not making sense the way something is supposed to be, including me. In this very moment of time, there's a dysfunction going on. People are seeing a reflection. To see a dysfunction is to correct the dysfunction. Make something better. And this is linked to various things too. Somebody try to hide something. I noticed though. I didn't forget. I don't know why they may be hiding something. Does something make sense depending on to whom they're hiding something from? Where are the elements that something makes sense or something doesn't make sense? If something is going to be better off hiding something, or something is going to be worse hiding something. So some people are relying on people forgetting, not knowing, not connecting the dots, trying to get the narrative going. This is another attempt. Another attempt to try to get the narrative going on top of an attempt earlier, but the belief, same group. Possibility. However, they're not going unnoticed. Those groups are trying to distort something, perhaps. A possible distortion may be occurring, where something or someone may be trying to distort something in a moment of time. Yeah, I did hear OMG. And somebody's saying, if you're good at my language again, these nonsense losers, these specific losers are distorting something. There's people that may not be saying everything. Doesn't make sense for them too. So some people, what they do, they're clever. They're sneaky snakes. They're not God clever though. They're sneaky snakes. They make something similar to something making sense. So something can endorse something. Somebody can be passive. These sneaky snakes got the worst math, from my understanding. Way off. There's many groups that have the incorrect math. Everything is known. To truth, when truth is present, you can't mess with truth. Even if something is not truth, generally speaking, you cannot mess with anything. However, the point is for people to be true. Sneezing equals you're correct. Depending on how you understand things, though. The groups that say that or the claim that I mentioned something in terms of what sneezing is, that is wrong if I mention, they're on puzzles to me. They don't make sense. They don't understand everything correctly. Then. Something or someone is not understanding everything correctly. So therefore, they misjudge. Instead of growing the answers in terms of what the answers are, some people are minusing things. The poking sensation occurred so many times. To be honest with you, even if you don't poke for 1,000 years, we'll still have a counterbalance effect of the side effects of the poking sensation that occurred. Sneaky groups, they're sneaky snakes. However, they're not God clever. They don't understand everything. And so therefore, there's possibly people that are realizing what they're doing. There's possibly people that are deliberately doing something that don't realize what they're doing, and people that do realize and they're doing something deliberately. These groups, whoever these groups are, and then they're possibly trying to link these groups or these people to something or someone else, possibly trying to frame one another. So keep in mind to not judge or assume. However, at the same time, do keep in mind that people are playing with a game of assuming, judging, changing elements, lie reactions, lie opinions, wrong choices, misuse of truth, corruption of truth, not understanding various things, and so on and so forth. These things cannot be. These things cannot occur. Why? Because this is a dysfunction. Similar to a body. The body has to flow. If the body's not flowing correctly, not receiving all the water, all the elements, all the nutrition, everything needs, there's a dysfunction going on. And keep in mind of stemming. This equals every being in general, generally speaking, has to get out of predicaments and function correctly. To function correctly within is to function correctly outside of self. Here's what I noticed. If the person is drinking a pill, eating a junk food, listening to some music, watching a movie, whatever anything may be, somebody's spying on somebody. Somebody's causing more of an issue on somebody than they're supposed to be caused issues on. And the person thinks, wait a minute, I'm eating junk food, I'm drinking a pill, this is because of me. Blames themselves. The person blames themselves instead of understanding what the issue may be. There's some type of a sophisticated thing going on, where the sophisticated thing literally is a person eating junk food and somebody's being spied on, and the person is causing some type of a sophisticated problem on that person, abusing some type of a power, and then blaming the person, and the person is also blaming themselves, saying, oh yeah, you know what? Because of me, I blame myself. Don't confuse blame either. Generally speaking, no one's supposed to blame one another when everybody's trying to solve everything. When everybody's trying to solve everything, there shouldn't be any blame. When there's people that are solving everything, and this person, for instance, something is like this, and this person is doing this, and saying, don't blame me, you know what you do? Hey, you're to be blamed. And that person is supposed to say, hey, you know what? You're correct. I change, and I conform to truth. And that's what happens. The person that is wrong is supposed to know what is true, what is false in any given moment. They're supposed to say, hey, you know what? I'm wrong. I admit my mistake, and I don't continue anymore. And there's that story. I did hear OMG. Oh my God. So yeah, I don't know if you guys hear these things. However, I do hear OMG. I don't know if you guys hear that type of stuff too. I'm sure there's people that do. There's people that don't, depending on the person. So there's various things going on where the lie is making the truth be a lie and telling the truth, hey, you conform to me. And the truth that was a lie is like, okay, well, yeah, I have to conform to you because X, Y, and Z. Or A, B, C, D. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Instead, they're trying to do this to me. They're trying to turn the color blue into green, into yellow, into red, into something else, and reverse, and in between else, where somebody doesn't notice something. Unknowns. There's some type of unknown going on. Be aware of that. Different angles of something may be occurring. So there's somebody said if you're good in like this woman's language or men's language or something, I don't care if they were referring to me or somebody else. It doesn't make sense with me. What type of stuff is the dysfunction I was talking about? So many people are doing some type of a gap possibly too. There's a gap going on. I cannot fulfill every detail. I have to go one, and I'll be back to later to what I was talking about. There's a gap going on. Somebody's doing something, and instead of something being this way and how everything's supposed to be, something is similar to this. In other words, the flow is off. And some people are looking for lie excuses to justify their doings instead of reasons to be true. Whoever's cussing, whoever's doing all this type of stuff, I sense their math. People may adapt to chameleons possibly too. Be aware of that. That's good that people are honest. Generally speaking, if something or someone is doing some type of a thing that is not making sense, that only signifies to make sense. Are people being painted? Are people being framed to say various things? Yes, there's people that are that way too. However, it's a mix with that. There's people that are not that way. There's people that are deliberately using lie excuses to do some type of a thing to forward their agenda or to forward their narrative or their math. Some people are keeping this fake reality, fake, this delusional thing going on. And are doing so, claiming that something is making sense, when something does make sense in a specific moment or element, where something is supposed to be changed gradually or in the flow of time, However, somebody's then exaggerating that with generally everything else, and it doesn't make sense. General can be something beneficial. Generally cannot be anything that's not beneficial. So there's people that are generally doing things, and they're generally doing things is a misuse, a misunderstanding of what the truth is. Notice how the oxygen in the air, is generally good for everything and everyone. However, the chemical in the air or near the oxygen may be something that is wrongful. Maybe something that is going against what is true. Okay, and here's another thing. For that to go away, change for the chemical to go away from the air. People have to wear their seatbelts, not text and drive. They're supposed to drive safely and slowly and be aware. People are supposed to follow the laws and just laws. And people are supposed to do whatever they're doing at any given moment to be the most correct. For somebody to think in their head, say, hey, this person is understanding. Let's do this now. The time signifies for this to change now. Changes have to be occurred for changes to be enabled to occur. At the same time, because of the disruption, because of all the things that have occurred, those other changes have to occur for the other changes to occur too. Change goes all the ways. Doesn't happen one way and another way somebody doesn't change. Happens both. This thing is changing, this has to change. If this is not changing and this is changing, there's going to be some type of a this thing instead of so the phenomena is so easy to be understood, maybe so sophisticated that a person like me, if I don't mention something's not going to be known. Very important for everybody to do their part, whatever that they understand to be true, to ensure that everything is realistically always flowing. And this equals inside to be outside. And here's another very important thing I was going to mention. There's many things some people may not know, and these things include and are not limited to, where something is supposed to, for instance, you have a flower you plant, a tiny little flower you plant. The flower is supposed to bloom, and you're supposed to care for that flower to bloom and feed that flower water and vitamins and nutritions. And you're supposed to not only feed that water, you're supposed to do so in a correct timing and the correct day, the correct way you're going to do something, not overwater something, and so on and so forth. Caring for the flower is the answer. Seeing the difference of leaving the flower alone is the answer to see what the flower does. Somebody, in the totality of everything, didn't leave the flower alone, didn't take care of the flower. The flower was taken care of and not taken care of and in between. However, majority, something was violated. Something was violated that violated something else that violated something else. One element was enough to affect another element, another element, another element, in terms of what may have occurred. Something or someone, instead of seeing the difference of somebody, to see what the person does on their own, cause some type of issue on the person or the life form, whatever anything may have been. And in their minds, justify their wrongdoing to say, hey, be used to this, be used to this, be used to this, be used to this, be used to this. In other words, get used to everything. However, in everything, something wrongful doesn't fit. the word everything belongs to truth, doesn't belong to anything that's dysfunctional. People have to understand that very, very deeply. And excuse me, not deeply. People have to understand that in a high level. Because while I'm continuing on through my journey, I'm realizing there's certain things I'm saying that may make less sense versus the things that I may be saying that makes more sense. So something or someone didn't make sense correctly the way something or someone was supposed to make sense. And in their minds, they were trying to supposedly somebody or something tried to make a correct choice or a decision on something or someone. However, their intentions, depending on to whom, may have been good. And another person's intention was not good at all. They only claimed something was good. However, upon further understanding and further research, observing and hearing these people, something was so wrong and so off that something was not able to be understood correctly. Here's another thing. There's people that don't know certain things, so some people in their minds, they're like, okay, well, the person doesn't know something. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do that. However, just because I can do many things doesn't equal I do things. Why? Because something may not make sense. So notice how I'm talking about one thing, I'm talking about another thing, I'm talking about another thing. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence. This is because
messenger audio.
Something is in a certain way where something is not supposed to be in a certain way. So something is possibly not making sense. So something is dysfunctional. Something is not making sense. So therefore, the thing that infiltrated somebody's life was dysfunctional. Cleaned their hands, got out of the picture. Now the person looks dysfunctional. So the dysfunction, in terms of somebody doing some type of a thing that they did, does not make sense. And so, how does something or someone do this type of stuff and is able to not be known or pretend not be known or convince or condition or brainwash something or someone that they're not known when they are known? You see, so there's many things that are not operating correctly, and many phenomena is not understood correctly. So there is many phenomena. There is many phenomena on this planet that is not understood correctly. There's many. There's many. Sorry, I'm trying to type something at the moment of time. Well, I'm trying to also speak to people. I'm recording myself and speak to you. AK-47, ADHI, Q joined, OVO, O joined. You know what's weird? How you guys cannot speak back to me. I know if there's like a lot of people. That may make sense. However, there's I did hear conversation. Yeah. Or misunderstood. This is very important. This moment of time, I was typing something, and instead of saying, I corrected myself. I caught myself and I corrected myself. I was aware of myself and I corrected myself. Many people may not be aware of themselves, may not correct themselves. So there are many phenomena on this planet that are misunderstood. I wrote, and that's correct. I wrote earlier. There are many phenomena on this planet that are not understood. That's incorrect. What is correct is there are many phenomena on this planet that are misunderstood. This guy is left already. Too late. Somebody is lying to me. I know something is, for instance, the way something is, and somebody's going, oh well, this could be this way, this could be that way. Somebody cares about being correct versus what is correct. That's what some people are doing. And there's some people are not understanding the entire thing correctly and not doing so, trying to flip the script. That's why very, very important to stop physical emotional harm and totality of everything, for everything else to make sense in the flow of time and how things are supposed to be. Some people may say, oh, well, yeah, this person is my soul. This person is not, or this person may be, or this, dysfunction. Dysfunction. Everybody is a soul to one another, closest to furthest. And the reason I mention this is because there's some mix going on outside, where some people try to say, "Oh, well, the person's not my soul. The person's a different race or different ethnicity or different this or different that." Doesn't matter. Everything is a puzzle. The entire point is for everything to be a puzzle in the flow of time. People have to understand correctly. They have to want to understand. They have to want to know. They have to want to be aware. They have to want to not be ignorant. They have to want to not turn a blind eye. Why is that going on? That's because of the dysfunction that's going on. The things that are not making sense. Me, somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. Somebody's saying, okay, let's see how this goes. And then we'll see what we can do from here. Whatever the control may be, cannot be not good. It has to only be beneficial, generally speaking. If the control is not good, then something may be not the way something is supposed to be. And so, yes, truth can always continue. Truth always continues. That's the nature of truth. Somebody says, oh, well, you continue. Well, you don't let us talk on this and that. You know me. You're aware of me. Talk. Say something. Mention something. You know? I'm not aware of certain people. They're aware of me. They're trying to say, oh, well, you're not aware of people and they're doing this and that. You know, something like that illogical thing is going on. People are wasting? No. People are doing irrelevant things. People are doing irrelevant things instead of spending their time and energy on relevant things, growing what is true, taking care of the flower or the person or the animal or the being or whatever anything may be. Something is poking at something or someone. These groups are trying to make me believe some type of bogus thing, seems like. You know, some type of convincing is going on, perhaps. I don't know what the convince may be. However, I believe they're convincing themselves. No one's buying their bogus. You know, they're not even supposed to be convincing or making people believe anything. The fact that they are proves their guilt. This will get solved. 100%. And this too shall pass too. So things will be solved. Hi, train. Things will be solved. I love the train. I love the plane. I love the train. I love the truck. I love the cars. I love everything that is true. So, anyways, well, no, not anyways. I don't want to use that word. People play with words. Keep in mind, no one's substituting anything. So, some people, one after another, person is not able to maintain some type of narrative, the other person goes through. The other person goes through. The other person tries. The other person tries. The other person tries. Okay? And the thing is this is wrong because why? It feeds temporariness, feeds dysfunction. Whoever's feeding any form of nonsense thing to do with temporariness, any form of temporary math you have, immediately change. And the math has to do with understanding. People have to change themselves and their math at the same time. If something can be done simultaneously, that's the correct answer. Simultaneously is the correct answer. Some people are they're sneaky clever, they're sneaky snakes. They're not god clever, however. You know why? Because here's why. Some people were involved in a different type of a reality that had no idea even was manifested. So I remember, okay, so what was going on? I brought something to awareness. While bringing something to awareness, some people are creating, claiming that something or someone is something or someone something else. Notice if there's no bothering going on while I'm mentioning something, things would be a different setting, a different time, different process, different conversation, etc. There's some type of poking going on at the moment of time I'm speaking. So some people have a different type of a reality in terms of how they've been living that has been dysfunctional. And they try to infect me to join their bogus reality. You know what I did? I didn't join their bogus because it didn't make sense for me too. Literally, didn't make sense for me too. And I saw a vision that I'm not talking about that vision that I saw. No. Because someone is controlling something or someone, and the control is not good. So the control is not good, and something or someone is trying to make, truth is so powerful that these people can try to attempt to make me or somebody else believe person that is harmful and somebody is true, they say some type of a nonsense on that person. Guess who that nonsense pertains to? Them. Yet some people are able to convince some people okay, are able to convince some people that you're wrong or you're not making sense. So then something else or someone else will also not make sense. In other words, there's people that are doing something not making sense the way something is supposed to, and then trying to, and not even allowing for me or somebody else to make sense of something, for instance, to judge, to blame, to flip the script, to try to get their way, to try to anything. Some people, anything that they can find that fits their narrative, that even though something may be lies, they try to link something with something else, even though something or something else has nothing to do with something or something else. So there's liars that are doing some type of a lie thing. And doing some type of lie thing, trying to possibly influence or manipulate something or someone else to do the same thing, or not even to know what something may be. So any form of ego, any form of dysfunction has to get out of my life and everybody's life. If something is not a puzzle piece, a puzzle to somebody's life, then all these things, everything has to get out of everybody's life. You cannot judge a book with the cover. You cannot join a book later through the midst and then claim something or someone was wrong. However, many people did that. However, what I mentioned is stop the physical emotional harm for everything else to work correctly and everything fit where everything belongs, similar to a puzzle. And doing so, everything will be the way things are supposed to be. And some people are so brainwashed that they literally think, "Oh yeah, I enjoy this. This is enjoyable." You know, some people may say, "Oh yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this." You know, this is enjoyable. However, they're doing so, enjoying something when something is not normal. And people haven't even seen the difference of what is normal to enjoy or not to enjoy. So if you ask me, there's so many things that are abnormal that people are doing. And doing so, I understand that flow. Something and someone craves me or something. Something is going on. Similar to that. So something that hasn't seen a difference of something makes sense to see a difference of. Well, the answer may belong there. And something doesn't make sense for a difference to be seen or not seen. Makes sense for something to be the way things are supposed to be in terms of how I'm doing something, for instance, in a moment of time. Some people mix things. That's how they operate. They say, "Oh well, the difference of that hasn't been seen. The difference of this has been seen, and so on and so forth." And maybe mixing various things versus something that The difference is seen or not seen, makes sense for you to do, given the elements of all things that occurred. Yeah, you guys. So similar to what I was going to mention earlier, also had to do with the fact that, and I noticed that again, where something was supposed to, something in terms of sharing, in terms of.
I got the goods. Look, so I'm going to draw up about 3 mLs.
And I was going to mention something, and to be honest with you, now I forgot to mention something. Not because of anything else, except because of the fact that something and someone possibly did some type of cheat, and therefore I forgot something. That equals somebody's cheating. Somebody's doing some type of cheat. Everybody's story, if you ask me, there's enough people to know one another. In terms of a puzzle being a person's life, and people knowing each other's story in terms of what may be occurring.
All right, so yes, I'm free. I'm so happy about it. As Bob talked about, in that system, if you start asking questions, if you bring these things up,
I don't know what reality some people are trying to keep people in. However, keep in mind, any form of low vibrational reality, no one's supposed to be in.
Pleasant and helpful and just get along with everybody. People are more willing to help, and that affects patients. And you want to be part of the team. You don't want to be the outsider because it really, we all have different skills. And we're live. As always, I'll wait a couple of seconds for people to join. And we're live.
So I'm going to pause for the moment so I can hear something else. At the same time, if I find something significant to say, I will say so. Because also, for me, it makes sense not to mention anything. Because there's various groups that are possibly trying to adapt to something or go unnoticed. However, not really. Even though there's many convincing that occurred, that some people try to make me or something or someone else believe various things,
As always, I'll wait a couple of seconds for people.
and doing so try to maintain a narrative, perhaps. Life has a purpose. Life has a purpose, and everybody, generally speaking, is supposed to fulfill their purpose. The purpose can only be fulfilled with the person being true. So heavy psychology, some people are playing, and they know what I'm talking about too. However, things have to be just. Things have, well, not things. Anything that anybody's doing, they have to be the answer. They have to be just. Being the answer, you are just. If everybody's the answer, and also make sure that no one, anybody that got out of any form of gangs, any form of politics, any form of games they were involved in, make sure that be aware of the fact that no one's trying to go against something or someone. Be very, very aware of that too. I don't understand why this type of stuff would occur when there's so many amazing things that occurred. May make sense because of weird groups that lack knowledge. May have possibly been tampered with or influenced or manipulated themselves. That did some type of a violation. Some people keep in mind they're not playing a God game with me.
And there's a huge disconnect within the body systems, but also the comfort system. What I mean by that, when I say there's a huge disconnect, admin is not at the bedside. They are so disconnected, and they don't see how a lot of these things affect patients. One example is with CB. That is why I went back to work. Yes, the crisis was good, but I definitely didn't believe the media, and I needed to see for myself what's going on, right? And these patients are in a room. It is different from the FLU. They're in there for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Nobody can come in except for somebody like me looking like Darth Vader, and we're here to pump your blood, pump your vital signs every 4 hours, more often. And these people, like, I don't know about you guys, but like my health started to deteriorate when I worked night shift. Like without the sleep, I don't know. I don't. So how can your body heal from the deadliest thing that is just almost right now? But there's a long time to go without sleep and without sleep. What I saw was a lot of people who did not
Remember, there has to be groups of everything in terms of understanding and being aware that there's people that are playing with all these games, whatever they're doing with their words or anything. And people are not. They're simply saying something similar to me. Remember, life is not a toy. Life is not a toy. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a purpose, and everyone's supposed to fulfill their purpose with their true self. So remember, if anybody's in anybody's life, it has to be a puzzle. If not, then you can't be in somebody's life. It has to be abundantly known. Anything that is harmful and forcefully trying to do something, there may be a mix. There has to be distinguished. Remember, something a ladybug, something benign, is correct over something that is similar to a mosquito. However, if the mosquito evolves without causing issues, any form of deliberate harmful thing, they can evolve and transform to something who they're supposed to be. That is true. So some people decide to mistreat me, get me accustomed to various things, and get other people to be accustomed to various things too.
When I started to be open with coworkers
Uh,
about not
in other words, people try to get me and get somebody else accustomed
well, I had to get it for work, or what else would you do other than nursing? It wasn't even a blip on the radar that there were other paths to be successful.
to try to attempt to.
With these student loans, and Otto and I have really gotten into it over the years and understand why it has so much power over me. And like, well, the bills don't go away, you know, doesn't work like that.
In other words, many dysfunctions occurred. And I'm going to go back to my conversation regarding the mix that I was talking about. And I'm also going to go back to a thing that some people are tossing around possibly within the mix. People are like, oh, yeah, the person's brainwashed. Somebody's trying to get a deal going, okay? Somebody's trying to get a deal going. Because I know people know the most significant things in terms of what they're supposed to do and not to do. So if somebody's trying to make me believe some type of a nonsense deal, some type of a nonsense thing in terms of there's a book and that book somebody's judging, yeah, you know what? The most significant thing, you know what in the book is. There's no excuse. Some people are trying to manipulate something or someone to try to, twist a story. They're gonna fail.
lot of sexual trauma in my life. The diagnosis I was given when I was younger was bipolar. When I was 18, I refused to go see doctors after that. Later, found a psychiatrist that I trusted.
So there may be some type of lag or something going on. Not lag, however, a delay.
Just fun and what needs to heal that trauma. And it was the most powerful moment of my life. We are taught to believe we're perfect. I have stopped.
Somebody may say, "Oh well, I'm true," and the person is not true. And try to give themselves excuses for various things.
I don't believe that I'm broken, and I'm certainly not. So many of my patients are not broken, but we're not.
However, do keep in mind
We're not teaching the true diagnosis that I was able to complex PTSD. Yeah, cannabis helped me tremendously with sleep through the night. Because a lot of times when I was younger, I would go to sleep in the middle of the night, sexual things would happen, and so I struggled with like fall asleep in my bed.
very relevant things. If somebody thinks something is not relevant for you, something that is not relevant for you, or relative for you, or significant for you, may be very, very significant to something else. The same way, the same doing of how something significant may be to you is the same exact significance to somebody else.
Basically, they weren't following the rules, and somehow like that meant they wouldn't be able to practice medicine. And I wrote that in the chart. My manager comes to me and I'm like, "Is that not what happened?"
This is similar to similar to what I mentioned before. A person is so accustomed to something, may think they're normal,
And that's when I started ugly crying.
and not accustomed to something else they think is abnormal.
So many of us are
And some people may be trying to
the fact that it's all that we do because we're taught by these rules.
that
We don't know what else we're gonna do. Okay. So at first I thought it was just me. I thought it was just my story. I thought I was just, somebody I didn't cause a lot of trouble because
so similar to a person that's so accustomed to something, for instance, the same thinking process, the same thought process, whatever you're doing, you may think you're accustomed to something or someone else. The very same thing that you're accustomed to that is not normal, somebody else is accustomed to something else that is not normal. The point, the understanding signifies to immediately understand what is true, what is not true, what you're supposed to be getting unlearned from, unconditioned from, unaccustomed to. Even things that you may not even think are normal. Or think are normal. Because there's a difference between that too. And so also there's people that are literally trying to get people conditioned to and accustomed to similar things that I mentioned: food, thoughts, understandings, notions, words, doings. There's various things that somebody may be trying to get me or somebody else accustomed to various things. And so that type of stuff must be stopped immediately. And the reversal has to occur in terms of everything that people are accustomed to. They have to unlearn. Unlearn to relearn again. Every single being upon the face of this earth, generally speaking, has to fulfill purpose. Every single being. This is the most important thing in what I'm mentioning. Why? Because the being fulfilling purpose equals the planet fulfilling purpose. I'm going to repeat that again. The person fulfilling their purpose with being true self is the fulfillment of the planet. So that's the most important thing to understand. And understand well. Because there's surface levels of understanding that I thought I understood various things before. I didn't understand anything at all. I didn't understand nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, signification will be that I don't use absolutely nothing together. Because absolutely nothing had nothing to do with one another. So do understand, do understand that. Yeah, I understood the flow too. Do understand that many things that people are literally accustomed to, that they think is correct, may be entirely not the answer. Maybe this. People say this is correct. However, this is correct. So think about this. And think about this. If something is being repeated for some other thing to be seen, for some other phenomena to be known, can be without the con. Something can be minimized. I believe if the person was much healthier, they would put up with some stuff versus somebody that is not healthy the way they're supposed to be. They cannot put up with some stuff and they don't even want to. They don't want to. They want to disregard something. They don't even care. Okay? That also has to be above and known too. In terms of how some people are so dysfunctional that they infect something or someone else to also be dysfunctional too. I noticed some type of a game is going on. Also, I noticed that there's various things that some people are unable to be able to do correctly. A person is unable to do something correctly. You want to do something more than you're doing, you can't. Limited. However, other things make up for that too. I understood. A lot of things make up for a lot of stuff. At the same time, that doesn't equal something is supposed to stay limited. Things are supposed to be updated. Things are supposed to be updated. And when I say things, I'm talking about, generally speaking, everything. You know, there's so many things that are not the way things are supposed to be. I wish, to be honest with you, I wish I could say everything simultaneously because I would put details into every single thing in terms of what I'm mentioning. So something is bypassing in terms of saying, "Oh, well, let's see if the person is doing what he's doing," and then what I'm doing is, okay, specifically, there's a list going on. The list that I'm doing, for instance, makes sense for me to. Yes, from my understanding, groups are aware, generally speaking, of me. When they see a notion that fits their narrative in terms of something being true, a math occurs where something is aware, and something is aware of the whole entire thing, not one particular thing. There's so many things going on. At the same time, when there's so many things going on, instead of me having to be healthy so I can do what I need to do, some people literally, I worried about this, put so many things in my life where, and then mess with the process in the midst, now allowing something to be the way something is supposed to be. And I believe it's because too many people sided with too many groups that were dysfunctional. However, may have been just in terms of what they were doing, and from my understanding, were just for what they're doing. So they shouldn't have to be stressed about something. They can understand that people can understand one another. Understanding one another is one of the most fundamental things. And I noticed many people are understanding things on a surface level. Of course, I notice when I'm saying various things, I want to mention multiple things at the same time. However, depending on what may make sense, may not make sense at the same time. You know what doesn't make sense? There's somebody in my life at the moment of time, and I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled in my life, and that I'm puzzled is so entirely off of my life that I'm sensing their weird energy. I have to be disconnected out of my life, not making sense for me whatsoever, not even for a second. So to be honest with you, I don't even want to continue. So that makes somebody not to continue. However, something is important to be said. These people are not making correct choice decisions. Somebody made a wrong choice, wrong decision, and possibly infected somebody else to make a wrong choice, wrong decision. There's groups that are true, that didn't know what to do, that made sense, and there's groups that are true, they know what to do, they know what to say, they're true, I'm with those people. And then there's groups that knowingly knew that they were going against something instead of finding reasons to be true. Instead of finding reasons to be true, you have to always look for reasons to be true, not um, excuses to be lies. I'm telling somebody to remove their vaccine profile thing. And there's also many bets, many games that people played, and try to say, "Oh well, this will change if this person does this. This will change if this person does this." And I forget. I remember from time to time of this type of stuff. And the thing is I don't play these games. I care about true measurements being upheld because, well, when I'm talking about upheld, I'm talking about somebody maintaining what is true. And not holding. No, I'm talking about being what is true. Being what is true. The life form has to be the answer. So you talk about these words. These words can go, various places, various directions. And to be honest with you, no one's supposed to manipulate, take advantage of anybody. Everything is supposed to be a true lesson, where the person is supposed to get out of their fear, stress, predicaments. Generally speaking, okay. Generally speaking, you're supposed to get out of your predicaments, okay. You're not supposed to be in predicaments. And no, if I was not feeling the way I would I be doing what I'm doing slowly in all this weird way? No, of course not. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go eat some food. I'm gonna go to sleep because everything has to be correct. Everything has to be true. The problem with a person like me is that I have always good things to say. I have always true things to say. So doesn't make sense for tampering to occur. Makes sense for me to continue to do what I need to do. Whoever's feeding these lies in terms of some type of tampering, the reason they're making these type of wrongful choices is because a lot of people are possibly siding with them without even realizing. However, it may not be their fault. Okay? I don't care if people are aware of me or not aware of me. Some people may say, oh, the person's aware or not aware. If he's aware or he's not aware, would he do the same thing? Yes, everybody's aware of me. No nonsense that's going against truth. Whether people are aware or not doesn't matter to me. Very beginning, I said what I said. In terms of if there's any person
Messenger audio.
if there's any person that made wrongful decisions on me, things have to be abundantly transparent to me, abundantly known to me, because if they assumed, I'm not assuming back. If people jump into judgment, I'm not assuming back. If there's people that did various things that took something or someone away from something or something, in other words, there's not supposed to be everything is supposed to be known. There's not supposed to be any form of harm, any form of suffering, any form of emotional harm in the process, and many tools updated where everything is going to be abundantly known and everything's going to fit where everything belongs. Everything, everywhere, everything belongs without any form of physical emotional harm, with any being causing on one another. That's the answer.
Messenger audio.
Understand too. There's many things I understood throughout the midst, and I forgot to mention because I was talking about various other things. At the same time, I understood that people knew what I understood to be true. For instance, messenger, message, same thing. I understand. However, of course, the most important thing is me not to be reliant on anybody. I noticed while I'm not trying to be reliant, people are continuously causing issues on me, so I could be reliant on them. That's some type of a dirty game going on. If people weren't continuously doing this on me, limiting me, I would have not been reliant a long time ago. The first 6 months, I would have had so many things on point because of the heavy, continuous nonsense that occurred in terms of technology, in terms of any form of thing that had to do with playouts, was realistically responsible. And also understand the fact that people are not trying to distort something or someone. Usually, nonsense is always trying to blame truth. Be aware of every single true being. And be aware of nonsense too. Everything has to be abundantly known. Every group that is true has to be working together much more than they are, including the groups that are quote unquote nonsense, that are changing, etc. However, there's specific things. I mentioned a word, nonsense, and I don't want to mention that word ever in my life. However, I have to. That word, there's 5, 10, 15, 20 different types of definitions of where nonsense is. I'm talking about the dangerous things, not the benigns, not the ones that can change and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the things that are very, very harmful, detrimental to my health, to somebody else's health. Usually in the form of some type of a nonsense sounds. So most important thing is stop physical emotional harm. You can't change something, be mindful of something until something changes. Everybody must do their part. Everybody should be conversating with one another, everybody should be understanding one another. Because I believe many people they created fixed nonsense realities on people instead of something being natural. They try to say, oh, well, the person was aware of this, or the person knows this, the person doesn't know this. Doesn't equal the person doesn't connect the dots. Doesn't equal a person doesn't understand the totality of everything. So many people did so many things. Their perception, their perspective is so off, is so skewed, and people compare one another and make blind choices and decisions. Has to be stopped. Any form of lie that I'm mentioning has to be known, has to be stopped. And every person, every group is supposed to realistically their part to refrain from any form of abnormal or harmful wrongdoing. And then some people do some type of a sophisticated thing where I was talking about difference earlier, where something is mixed. And for instance, something that the difference in terms of the answer is off. Similar to this. This is going on instead of this. The most significant thing on the face of this planet is to get everything correct, is to understand everything correctly. Everything is supposed to be the way things are supposed to be. So everything's going to flow. Not only driving where everything is flowing, thoughts, understandings, words, doings, food, every element of reality, every element that exists, every element that exists is supposed to realistically be flowing. Every element of life is supposed to flow. If there's something that is not flowing, then something is less than flowing. Something is not flowing. So therefore, something is tiny and is adding on to something else, and something else is tiny, and something else is adding on to something else, and it's having huge consequences. All these tiny things, dots, literally, picture dots. These dots are enough, these tiny dots are enough to have huge wrongful effects. Huge wrongful effects. So some type of a counterbalance has to occur in terms of me continuing and something else doing the same thing where something is supposed to be this way in terms of me stopping so many things and then continuing. Something counterbalance has to be known in terms of what something may be and counterbalance to that. And not only counterbalanced, however, mimicked. Because the counterbalance is also wrong too. Some people may say, oh, the counterbalance has to be with good and evil or something. No. Evil's supposed to only change and be good. That's all to that. That's all there is to that. The counterbalance has to do with some type of dysfunction. The dysfunction is the issue, and the counterbalance has to be the dysfunction being corrected or fixed. Now, keep this in mind too. I feel some type of dirty nonsense game or something like that is being is was going on, where is listening to what I'm saying, and then doing something else, and then somebody else is tampering with somebody else to do something else. Somebody else is tampering with somebody else to do something else. So there's some type of a thing going on where something or someone is tampering with something or someone and blaming something or someone in terms of something not being their fault. Where somebody's like, oh yeah, we hear you, we hear this person. However, this person, sure, you guys are off. You guys heard him, and you guys went against him or something. You guys didn't listen to him. However, there's more to the story, man. There's more to a narrative. Some people judge or misjudge, and they say, oh yeah, you do the same thing. However, nothing is the same. There's no such a thing. There's no such a thing. Therefore, I keep mentioning, because some people also were misjudged, so they can be manipulated. So somebody or something can have an upper hand or something. Somebody can go against something or someone. Women were targeted to cause issues or to misjudge, so somebody can have fun with them wrongfully. So this is very important too. While people are doing something, some nonsense groups, what they did is they did some type of a nonsense play out, bought some type of a bogus play out to say, oh, they're saying this because of this, supposedly. The person is saying this because of that, supposedly. And so on and so forth. However, it had nothing to do with anybody or anything. It was lies, in other words. People believe the lies, fed the lies were able to be manifested, unfortunately. There has to be a reverse, a counterbalance to that. Of course, immediately too. Something or someone didn't believe something or someone. Didn't believe something or someone. Something was overly done. Something something didn't believe me, for instance, when I was true, and went against me, and literally made wrong decisions, wrong choices on my behalf. Well, I can't say literally. Well, yeah, literally, I was done wrong on, and figuratively. And when I mention this, be aware of the things that people have been accustomed to, or that people get used to, or something. To try to then make something or someone adore something and call that a reality. Going back to what I was saying, to do with something making up for something, it has to be true, it has to be what is real, in other words. You cannot counterbalance something. If you cannot make something up for something. Somebody says, oh yeah, the person's doing this, we can do this. Whatever you're doing, is something true or not true. You have to be true. You have to be the answer. You have to understand. You have to be good. Good is taking care of yourself. Drinking water instead of Coke. You can't drink Coke and say that's good. No. If you say it, that doesn't make something so. You have to be good. You have to be true. You have to make sense of things. Look, I understand. I have a lot of things to say. I don't force anybody to listen to me. You can go to sleep. You can rejuvenate. You can do all the things you need to do to relax. And be aware of those people that are trying to put people in sleep in terms of causing issues on them. I'm not with those groups. Those groups are violators. If something is, there's a purpose to something, if somebody's possibly hypnotized, and somebody does something to take something away from the hypnotized state of mind, then, in my understanding, my overall feeling, there was a time where some people put me in a hypnotized state, and these noises, some of them, depending on what noise exactly, took me out of a hypnotized state of mind. Yes. However, then somebody also put somebody in a hypnotized state, and then somebody said, okay, well, let's justify ourselves to put somebody in a hypnotized state and also take somebody out of a hypnotized state. Okay? So the entire flaw of the entire math, how things may be off, were similar to what occurred on me, for instance. And something may have occurred on me much more than somebody else, for sure. For sure. No. When I say for sure, I'm talking about definitely. I'm talking about no playing with words. No playing with words. Nobody's substituting my words. Nobody. If anybody is, you shouldn't be in my life. You shouldn't be in my channels. I know how some people play. They play out. They try to convince me of various things. Try to make me believe various things. To this day, I don't. Why? Because something is so glimpse. Something is a glimpse of something. Therefore, that tells me that something is not true. Also, because something is a glimpse, does not also equal something is not true either. It has to be established, it has to be known. Some people, from my understanding, the way they operate, the way they are, they're weak. They're not tough. They're weak because of the egotistical moves they're making. So remember, if you brainwash, if you think that tough is being harmful or going against something, I believe you're brainwashed and you have no idea what toughness is. And if I'm correct and somebody is incorrect, doesn't mean that you go against somebody or something. In terms of, I noticed various times I said various things, and through the midst, some people, what they did is, somebody did some type of a thing in the midst where something was not normal. And had nothing to do with what normal was. And dysfunctions occurred because of that reason. Well, because of what occurred. Remember, never say, um, reason. In terms of reason, because of a reason, most likely something is inaccurate. Because reason has to do with what is true. If the word reason is mixed with something else, something may not make sense the way something is supposed to. However, because people are so accustomed to something, they may think that something is wrong or something is off. Okay, so this goes back to a story in terms of somebody harming me, however, turning around using power for the betterment. That is what occurred. However, in the midst, there was a mix of somebody did cause me harm and did use power for the betterment versus somebody that did. This is only. I'm not kidding you. There's not even a scratch of the surface. However, many things have been established. And from my understanding, a cycle is going to arrive again. There's a cycle arriving in the next week. This cycle that's arriving in the next week has to do with something or someone knew that 2 weeks something was going to happen, did something and stopped something at the same time something occurred. Somebody bought that play out to try to make people believe something else to get their narrative going. So remember, going back to toughness is doing, generally speaking, people are learning various things and returning back to their gentle self. Their gentle self is tough. The ego self is not tough. Don't confuse with people being frustrated, angry, and all this other stuff with ego. The way I feel, the way everything is, I may seem like I'm something, however, I'm not. Same thing with various other people. Some people may misjudge and say, oh, yeah, you're egotistical. And you know what? They possibly are not egotistical. Maybe then there's different types of definitions of ego too. Every word, there's something else. So the confusion, some weird thing going on. Okay, so speaking of buyout, somebody bought out a payout or something. If something is not true, you cannot buy something. It has to be. And I saw a glimpse of a vision or something of a person that is tired and taken advantage of and manipulated. That type of stuff is zero tolerance policy. The being has to heal, and not forced against their will. Any with any sophisticated thing. All things have to be known. I notice while people are being true, they're acting like they're not true. A person that is true will not be that way. Maybe in specific moments or something. However, generally, the person will be true. Depending on how true the person is, you wouldn't. So, very important for the person, whoever was affected wrongfully, to heal immediately. And any form of nonsense should not be operable. Should be stopped and prevented, generally speaking.